Hello and welcome to an exemplary service learning model. It's a virtual model. I'm Dr. Yasmeen Qadri. I'm the professor in teacher education program at Valencia College East. It's in Orlando, Florida, USA. So FAME, Florida Association of Muslim Educators, is a sub-minority group under the larger Judeo-Christian parent group called Florida Parent Educators Association, and this is a very large group of Florida homeschool parents. As the director of FAME, I had the privilege to contact FAME parents and request them to provide their children to my students. It was a bit challenging, and like many other schools, there was confidentiality issues, there was legal issues, and I'm so glad that the parents trusted my judgment and they agreed to provide their children. So we started a FAME virtual school Monday to Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. And my student teachers were given this opportunity to design some lesson plans and teach these children electives like drama, leadership skills, public speaking, art and creativity, movement, and character education. So most of these parents were a little concerned about their children's social skill development, physical movement during the pandemic. So my students were really able to provide this. I was very honored to have a group of students who were very dedicated, who went more than an extra mile. And what I did was I designed a program, customized it based to the needs and interest of my student teachers, what they were passionate about and what they want to become in that area. We provided those subjects to them. I want to introduce the future teachers, Valencia Future Educators that we called, because these are student teachers in Valencia College. And I'm very privileged to have these students who really fulfill my dream to build a virtual school to meet the needs of these young children. So I want to welcome Skylar O'Connor, Lisandra Silva, Naili Rodriguez, Rukaya Adam, Joan, and Gabriel and Michaela. So these students, Joan and Gabriel and Lisandra, these are three students, exemplary students who are representing the Intro to Diversity course, and my other students, Naili and Skylar and Rukaya and Michaela, are representing the Intro to Teaching Profession course. So let's begin with Skylar. Skylar, what was what subject were you teaching and what would you like to share with us? Can you start telling us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so my experience was a little bit different because I wasn't teaching electives for my student. My student was on a waiting list to get into school. So in the meantime, I was tutoring him on the first grade level in math and science. So that was really interesting. I don't personally have a lot of experience teaching and working with children, so it was really interesting trying to figure out ways to keep him interested in math and science, which is stereotypically kind of boring subject. But I think we figured out ways to get him involved, interacting with the screen so that he could write his problems on the board. That I think helped a lot with keeping him engaged, so that he wasn't just sitting there listening to me and watching me draw numbers on a screen for him.
So what the parents of this child, they explained to me that they thought Skylar was an angel in disguise because they were waiting impatiently because he was registered in FLVS, and it was almost waiting from July onwards to start the school, and it was almost October, and we were like, okay, Skylar, you have to take this challenge. And Skylar designed all the lesson plans, and she was very flexible. She just jumped into this whole program, and she really grabbed this little boy's attention and did a great job and built all those lessons and built even experiments. So this was like real virtualing. It looked like virtual experience, but it was a real experience for the little kid to have a teacher one-to-one and teach him. And I know the other teacher, Morgan Sands, she's not able to be here, but she designed the reading program. So both Skylar and Morgan were really filling in this very well. What were your experiences, Skylar? Did you find the service learning meaningful? Did you feel like you contributed to something that is beneficial?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, when you started talking about how we were going to be doing service learning hours, I was expecting us to just be TAs, like you mentioned earlier, just helping teachers in the background. So I was really surprised that we would be jumping right into teaching students. And while that was super nerve-wracking at first, I think you helped a lot with making sure that we were all prepared to go into this helping our students instead of just floundering and giving all sorts of mixed messages. So I feel like this was a super meaningful experience for sure.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go to Naili now. Naili, what was your experience with the students?
So I also did not teach electives. Like I taught reading and math, and I was trying to touch up on all the subjects so that they would get a great learning experience. It was a bit difficult at times because they can be very enthusiastic. So, you would have to find different ways to get them engaged or to get them to truly listen to what you're saying. But overall, it was a great experience. They did listen and they did learn a lot. When we did the show and tell, I have noticed that all the students have done a great job, and it's because of you as well, Professor Qadri. You have prepared us, like Skylar said, so I'm happy with it.
And let me tell you, my dear teachers, my dear student teachers, you are going to be very successful in your future careers. For example, Naili, one day I was telling her, Naili, we need you in kindergarten. And then I would pull her, no, Naili, we need you in first grade. And she would not ever say, my God, make up your mind. But she's like, I understand, Professor Qadri, we are trying this model. So it was so helpful to be flexible. And, because this was very stressful and challenging for me, because I was taking a big risk. I didn't know how the parents would react to this, because this is a very close-knit private homeschool group. But it went on well, and the kids loved Naili and Skylar. Okay, let's go to Michaela. She's another elementary, guru in this. Did a great job with the movements.
Thank you.
Michaela, touch base on the movements, physical movements, and everything that the parents wanted, and you did it.
Yeah. So my first challenge coming into this was, how am I going to get them physical? Because I'm a very physical person myself, so I like to play basketball. I'm always outside. So whenever I'm teaching, I like to implement that on my children as well. So that was the challenge, but I just found some home games. Like I think our first session, we played basketball, rolled up some paper balls in a trash can, and then we played basketball. Then I started to educate them on the sport. So my thing was getting them active. So every day we did something active, where we learned about a sport that they can actually go play outside. And my experience was pretty fun. It was pretty fun finding new ways to intrigue physical movement and try to keep eyes on the screen, because I had kindergartners and first graders, and they had so many things they wanted to show me at home. So looking here, looking there, there's TVs everywhere. So trying to get eyes on the screen was a challenge, but if you interest them, they'll give you that same education.
Thank you very much. And they loved Michaela when they would talk to their siblings about all this fun and games, and then the other group will come and the parents would contact and say, can you have Michaela to the other group also? I'm like, she can do in every group. So it was really fun to see that reality, that movement can happen even if it's virtual school. So I really thought that was very neat. Okay, so Ruqayya and Faiza Noor, one of her classmates, did on character education. Ruqayya, you want to share your experience with that?
Sure. So me and my partner Lisandra, we taught character education for our grades 2 to 4. So what character education is, it's basically positive character traits and life lessons. So like we'd talk about how they should implement those traits, like examples of those traits, so they can see that like being kind is not just smiling, like it's helping, or it's being friendly, or it's thinking positively. And we would teach them how to fix themselves, like if they were not like kind, for example, we'd teach them, okay, it's okay, move on, and now you learn from your experiences. So in all around, I feel like we taught like positivity for life in character education.
Thank you very much. And that's, when you kind of teach parochial students who have a faith-based foundation, they really appreciated this greatly, because we always talk about religion not being part of our education system, but these are character traits that are very common traits. It doesn't have to deal with any religion. And this was my dream for like last 20 years. When we hear all of this negativity about public schools and challenges about public schools, I always used to think, I wish we can change this. I wish teachers can get more respect and parents support them more, so you made this real. Okay, so we are now going to go to our diversity educators, Lisandra Silver. We're very happy to have her because she comes with all of this rich experience. She's a kindergarten teacher. I was like, I can't have a kindergarten teacher just do some videos, So here's Lisandra. You want to share your experience?
So like I was sharing, I am a kindergarten teacher currently. That's my occupation, and it's my life's work. I'm just a teacher at heart. I will teach anybody. But when it comes to my experience, for the past year, I've been teaching special needs students in kindergarten. So that's the challenge I've had in general. And then with COVID, of course, online, I was very appreciative of the FAME program, because not only did it help me to understand how that would work in a kindergarten setting, but it also gave me, like you said, a chance to be able to make it meaningful and do something that means a lot to me. I actually homeschooled my students for 5 years. My own children were my students for 5 years, 3 of them. And so it means a lot to me. And I was actually part of the FPEA as well. So this whole experience was it really hit close to home.
Very good. And Lisandra, thank you so much for really accommodating your schedule, because you were working in the classroom, so it was very difficult for us to change the schedule, right? And I'm so glad you were able to take an hour off and come and teach them. So it was real. Okay, our next excellent exemplary teacher is Joan Hebert Spence. Joan, welcome, and she's also from our diversity course. So tell us about your experience.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me, Dr. Qadri. I'd like to share my experience. It's a little different from the others. I'm a nanny, and I have been a nanny for over 10 years. Now, I want to share that Dr. Qadri has impacted my life in a very positive way. When I did her early childhood education class, that's when I shared that, that I'm a nanny, and I have been for over 10 years. And she said to me, no, Dawn, you have the experience. So when you get the qualification and you combine both, you'll be very good at what you're doing. I'm passionate about children. But this particular class, diversity class, gave me another plateau of experience, because I'm the type of person who was not tech savvy. So you can imagine how challenging at first I was, just scared. But we had a chance, as our group had to do student celebration, and it opened up a whole different arena. It's something new. I don't think it has ever been done before, but we were able to tap into a whole new area. And it gave us the opportunity to interact with students, an opportunity that people like me would probably never had. The experience we had was so beneficial in the sense that COVID has brought, the pandemic in general has brought such a damp on the education system and caught us a bit off guard. So for us to have had the opportunity to work with famed students they were not students who were adjusting. We had an opportunity to work with students. This is how they learn. So for me, as an aspiring virtual educator, this was a grand experience. This is valuable lessons that I will take with me throughout my life. But what was most interesting was to see how we also learn from the kids, because their interaction, their excitement, they were just so happy. And we were able to incorporate a little phonics into what we were doing, because even though it was a celebration and we had a theme of taking the kids around the world, and we were able to do so because of the virtual platform from the comfort of their own home. So each child, we had their little imagination being teased, and they were very much into it. We'd have them, we'd show them letters, and they'd have to identify things within their immediate surrounding that started with that letter. So we were able to get a little phonics in there, and at the same time, that interactive learning, we realized how much it can benefit the kids. You can get their attention, because I think if you don't hold their attention when you're teaching virtually, it's really a challenge. But for me, it was a very good experience. I take away life lessons that are just so valuable, and I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you, Dr. Qadri. You have impacted my life in the very best.
Thank you very much. And some of the students, they were not able to fit into this hour. So what I thought, what can I do with them? How can I provide them hours? And Joan was one of them. She was working full time. So we came up with this great idea. What if the school was real? We would have a student appreciation day. We would have a teacher appreciation day. And then we did, another group did a parents workshop, how to build partners in education. So that was so awesome. This Joan's group did on elementary, then the other students did on middle school. And having these games and this interaction, the kids were so thrilled about it. So we really made an effort to make this look like a real school, even though it was virtual. So last but not the least, something very important that we want to talk is by bringing Gabriel Benjamin to all of this experience. Gabriel also worked with FAME, so Gabriel, share your experience with us.
Hello. Okay, so at first, I was a little nervous because in my introduction to teaching class, I was able to go into the classroom and interact and just see how the teachers handle everything. But I was nervous because it was online, and Dr. Qadri, yes, she was in the back and support, and if I had any questions, she'd answer them right away. She never hesitated to give me advice or anything. But because I was the one who was doing the teaching, I was kind of nervous at first. But thanks to technology, everything went kind of smooth for me. It was very different because, as I said before, sorry guys, I'm very nervous right now.
Doesn't look at all, but
no, I'm very nervous. But it was a good experience. One thing about it was that I was able to build more confidence. I actually just switched into early childhood elementary from physical therapy. So it was a little like I was feeling, demotivated at first, but the experience was very good. I loved my two children who I had. They had different learning styles, but I was able to use my PowerPoint as lesson plans so that they could see. My little boy, he liked to touch things and stuff like that, so we did scavenger hunts. My little girl liked to draw, so we drew, wrote letters, and just made sure that they understood everything that was happening. So I really enjoyed the experience.
So Gabriel, she really surprised me a lot, because the first lesson plan she sent me, I thought, because she didn't do it before, it would be just a page writing about what she's going to do, but she sent an intensive lesson plan. She was so well prepared. The first day, she really caught the attention of the students. So is there anything else that you all want to add? So the kids loved it, and the parents loved it, and the students loved it, and they want us to do it again. And the word is spreading in the community, so we'll have more students. So I always tell my students when I teach on-site classes, I share with them my treasure box, and I call it, this is the box of wisdom. As a professor teaching 20, 30 years, things that we don't read in the books is found here because experience teaches us a lot. So in that treasure box is, some of the things that you all highlighted. And one was, how can teachers build trust and relationship with the students? Even though all these children were very different than you all in their faith and their culture and their languages, but you really took them and built this relationship. And there was so much trust that the parents could trust on you and say, okay, my kids are in good hands. And that sharing, that loving and caring environment, especially during these times with the pandemic, about safety, everybody's so uncertain, you all really built that trust and love and care. And interesting thing was that, like one of you said, we can learn from our students. These are young children, right? The first grader, one time, one teacher came and said, I don't know how to share the screen or use the whiteboard. And I said, don't worry, I will not teach you, but your students will. And so this little boy was sharing how to use the whiteboard and would keep on drawing. And, so it was so good that the teachers were so humble. They were like, now, I don't want to learn from the children, but they were so humble. And that humility comes when you really break those walls, those barriers. And I was so impressed with your performance. I thank you very much for giving your best into this. You truly are an exemplary teacher. And I have a lot of confidence that you will be will have a great teaching career ahead of you. Wish you the very best.